You are listening to the Mismatch, presented by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and the best place to bet on the NBA. Because not only does FanDuel have all your favorite player props, but now you can even check out stats and recent performance trends right in the app before you make your picks. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today to get in on the action. The Ringer is committed to responsible gambling. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Remember, you must be 21 and over and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Welcome to the Mismatch. I'm Chris Vernon, and joining me as he does every week from TheRinger.com is Dave Jacoby. Jacoby!
What a night of NBA playoff basketball. This is what you asked for. You want two good games back-to-back to fill your whole evening, because we saw some stinkers this weekend, let's be honest. Those two games tonight were perfect.
As we record this on Monday night, we just got done watching the Clippers win Game 2 of their series against the Denver Nuggets, 105-102. Jacoby, you were at the Knicks game, so we'll do that one second. This game that we just watched, because this is fresh in our mind, it was our things we were looking forward to in the playoff show a week ago, and the first one I did was the reintroduction of playoff Kawhi, and I rattled off these crazy stats that I had read that he had only played. Now, if you go back in time, he played 2 games in the playoffs in the last 2 seasons. Okay. In 2021, he hurt his knee in Game 4 of the Western semis against Utah. Then he sat out 21-22. 22-23, he tore his meniscus in the first round. And last season, he probably shouldn't have even played in the 2 games that he did, and they lost to Dallas. But between 2017 and 2020, Kawhi Leonard averaged 29 points on 63% from the field in 60 games. In 60 games. So it's not a small sample size.
No.
And then it's all I could think about tonight as he is going 15 of 19 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line, and drops in 39 on the road in Denver to now knock that series up. Unbelievable.
It wasn't just the reintroduction of it was like the reintroduction of robot Kawhi. Like, he was robotic. When he gets his shoulders square and his feet set and he just shoots over everybody, he's got those long arms and the ball barely touches the back rim and goes right in the net over and over and over. He was 9 for 9 to start the game. And I think that right now the game just ended. And the thing that's going to stick in my mind right now, because we're reacting to it, is after the game, Brown missed a 3, Jokic missed a heave, like those weren't going in. But Jokic just stood there on the court with his hands on his knees, slumped over, just exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And I was like, oh, I haven't really seen that before. You don't really see that a lot. Usually the guys kind of walk over their team or whatever. And then they cut to Kawhi Leonard, hands on his knees, don't celebrate with me, exhausted. It was that type of a game. It was just leave it all on the floor, which is such a cliched thing to say. But I've not seen like the 2 stars going head to head at the end of the game, just like Jimmy Butler in Game 5 in the bubble, just done, just exhausted.
That game was so high level, too. Both those teams are so fantastic. Everything is under duress, it feels like. Like, it's one of those, it's everything you love about playoff basketball, where you truly feel like every possession matters. And the other thing, and I'm going to give credit because I tweeted about this during the third quarter, after you had the Powell Jamal Murray like mini scuffle.
Can't wait to talk about that.
Okay. After we had the mini scuffle, it became an absolute free-for-all with Mark Davis and Ed Malloy in the group. And I'm like, dude, do not mangle this game. This game has been good, and I get it. It's getting a little testy, but then all these guys start. Every bump, they start exaggerating it, and every time they're going down the court, it's whistle, 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 and nobody wants to watch that. Got to the fourth quarter, and there was the flow of the game. This is all we want. We want to see the player. We want to see the players decide the game. Of course, there were going to be calls that could have gone either way, I'm sure, if you want to look into them. But you really felt like the players got to decide that game. It was who's going to make the plays, who's going to make the shots. Obviously, a monster 3 by Norm Powell, another huge shot by Kawhi Leonard. In fact, 2 shots by Kawhi Leonard. And then on the other end, look, these teams, they've got the championship medal in Denver, and they've got the one guy that can get you good shots. And obviously on that last possession, they didn't, but as someone who didn't have some kind of, serious rooting interest in this game, that was one of those that you just got to kick back and totally enjoy. And that feels like watching that felt like that could have been like a West Finals game. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a first-round game.
Watching all the Eastern Conference first-round games this weekend and then watching this, it's like it's a different sport. It honestly feels like a different sport. But there's what I always say is we always focus on the last possession, but there's so many leading up to that. And I can't not think about that Aaron Gordon dunk.
Oh, my
he's
God.
He's all alone, and he's Aaron Gordon. Those 2 points are huge, and he just back rims it, and it goes out of bounds. That was a huge play that, we're never going to talk about. It's not going to be a big deal, but I think there's about 2.5 minutes left or whatever it is, and he has a wide open dunk and just misses it. And another thing that I want to discuss with you that I think is very important is there's a lot of discussion coming out of game 1 was Michael Porter Jr. getting benched and Russell Westbrook's impact on the game. And it's so much fun to hear that discourse for a couple days and then to see it play out right there. Because Michael Porter Jr. had 15 rebounds. And my question is does it take a public humiliation for you to try at your job? Does it take 48 hours of people dragging your name through the mud for you to try? Does it take your teammate to call you out into a microphone for you to try? But he had a great game. And then when he went down in that weird loose ball where he turned it over and they went back to Westbrook, it just felt significant. It felt significant in the moment.
Well, and you got to give it to him because he rebounded in that fashion tonight. I mean, that was one of the major advantages for the Denver Nuggets. They out-rebounded the Clippers 50-32 in this game. 50-30. This is not a small
crazy
margin. They had 32 rebounds the whole game.
And that's not really their game either.
No. Not but again, if you're going to get 15 from Michael Porter Jr., they also grabbed 15 offensive rebounds in the game. Because now look, the Clippers in most cases are small, right? They've got maybe Big Zoo out there, but other than that, he's the size, right, that they play with. They are just loaded with wings. I mean, it is wild. They came out, you go through those segments of time where you mentioned Jokic just barreled over at the end of the game. Well, that's because they can't survive at all without him. They can't survive he can get no rest and then be okay with it. The amount of time he is off the court is just, they lose by over a point a minute. For
stupid.
Every minute that he sits down,
they're
going to lose.
The first half, he sits down on the bench. He's barely dried the sweat off his body, and they already have gone on a 6-0 run in the first half. It was wild.
Dude, Van Gundy said during the game, he's talking about how they can't survive without him. And he said in the 10 minutes, I think he said in the 10 minutes he has sat so far in the series, they're minus 14 or something like that. And I was like, what? You can't even survive. They can't survive at all without him on the court. But the rest of those, the Clippers, at one point they bring Bogdanovich in, then they bring Derek Jones Jr. in, then they bring Ben Simmons in, then they bring Batum in. It's like, bro, do you just have a billion wings? This is crazy.
When they bring in Derek Jones Jr., you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah,
right.
But Batum is contributing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Batum
he knocked
had
down the big corner three.
Oh, wait, that he caught it above his head. I can't imagine how you catch a basketball above your head that far from the basket and just launch it, and it doesn't even hit rim. Like, it was huge. That was such a good game. Again, like, before this series started, both of us were just kind of like, everybody had this one circled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is you've got the MVP, the former championship team that just fired their coach, and then you've got the Clippers, this sort of like unsung, slept-on juggernaut that finished the season so hot. And these two games that they've given us have been, you couldn't ask for more.
Well,
you couldn't ask for more.
And the depth is obviously on the Clippers side, but they're still just like, we talk about this all year long, and then when it gets to this high level, you got like 7 or 8 guys that you're counting on, and they really only had look, Westbrook's the only guy not in their starting lineup that played over 20 minutes. Peyton Watson was next, and he got 13 minutes.
And he didn't do much in those 13 either.
But that just tells you what kind of game this was, right? When you're to the point, when you're already playing at a game 2 and you're running, Jokic out there for 43 minutes and Murray out there for 42 minutes and Gordon out there for 38 minutes. Whew. I
think, obviously, I mentioned that both Jokic and Kawhi were so just exhausted. There's a tank on empty at the end of the game. I think that had something to do with Jokic missing all those free throws. Because kind of like the Aaron Gordon missed dunk, they don't seem that significant in the moment. But I don't know how the numbers in front of you. I think it was like 4 for 8 from the line or something, or maybe 5 for 9. Like it was a weird game from him from the line. I think he was exhausted and he needs more help. We said that in like the second week of the season. Needs more help.
No, you're right. He ended 6 of 10. He ended 6 of 10 for the line. He had 7 turnovers also in the game.
Couple bad ones.
Which is a big number for him. To go along with, of course, his 26-point triple-double, which was the second best. Like, this was the thing. When I said that about the reintroduction of playoff Kawhi, like, he's one of the very few people in the world that might be in a game that features Nikola Jokic and he could be the best player on the floor. Like, that's how good that guy has been playoff-wise. And it's, again, we know that in order to be at the highest level, you've got to have one of the 5 or 6 best players in the NBA. And the crazy thing is, this guy, over the course of seasons, he does not prove to be that. But there ain't nobody in the world that could have watched that game tonight and say they'd take 5 other players over that.
When was the last time?
There ain't 5 people in the world you would have rather had than that version of Kawhi Leonard tonight.
When was the last time that you considered Kawhi Leonard like a top 10 player in the NBA? Not when healthy. Just like a top 10 asset, like a top 10 guy. 3 seasons ago?
Probably.
4 seasons ago?
Yeah. And you've got to go back to, obviously, and, we just got so used to those glory days of, when I was talking about that run that he had where he's finals MVP 2 different times. And like, we know this guy, like there are certain guys, Jimmy Butler is another who we'll get to later, that they're not the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same guy. There's some of these guys, they're not the same guy in the wrong direction when the lights get brighter. But some of these guys become a totally different animal, and that's exactly what he's done. Look, you just saw it. That guy, that was otherworldly.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't miss.
Literally.
Dude, at one point he had 1 miss. I think it was like 12 or 13.
And I couldn't remember the miss. I was saying to myself, I was like, when was the miss? I don't remember the miss.
It went in and out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, I was like, I don't remember this miss. Maybe that's crazy. Are you sure he missed one? And here's something I want you to keep an eye on, because I like to read into things, maybe take things a little bit too far. A couple times during the game, something I noticed that I haven't seen before from him was Jokic sort of like being frustrated with his teammates. There's a couple times. There's a layup that the Clippers got in the first half. He tried to throw a pass to the corner, but the guy was kind of cutting to the rim. There's just sort of some like body language frustration from Jokic. That's just something to keep an eye on through the series, because he does have to do a lot by himself. And I think I haven't heard him sort of like publicly criticize a teammate the way that he did with Porter Jr. And I think he's frustrated. I think this is very, very hard for him.
Rightfully so.
It is.
Rightfully so. I mean, he's got it all on his plate. Like we said,
all season.
He can't even go and just sit and breathe for 2 minutes.
He had a 61-point triple-double, and they lost.
Yeah,
right. I mean, come on. I can just see the frustration brewing. It's something to keep an eye on.
And it is hard to overstate how huge that win is for the Clippers to knot that thing up at 1, because I understand that everybody always uses the common trope. Well, series doesn't decide until somebody wins on the road.
Yeah.
I view it through this prism. Bro, if you lose that game, you've got to beat that guy 4 out of 5 times. That's how I view it. You've got to beat that guy 4 out of 5 times if you drop that game. And good luck with that. That's how I think about it. You got to beat him 4 out of 6 times? Actually, now 3, right? 3 out of the next, you already got 1 down. But you got to win 3 out of 5. You go 3-2. And you can win the series the rest of the way. 4-1, that's a big ask against somebody of that talent level. And so I think it was immense for the Clippers to be able to get that one tonight.
The Mismatch is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are finally here, and if you think you know how it's all going to go down, then make those predictions pay off with FanDuel and their same game parlay profit boosts. Just build your perfect parlay, activate the boost, lock in your bet. If it hits, that's a bigger payout for you at absolutely no extra cost. I've got my eye on tonight's slate of games, and I'm looking at the big late game in Los Angeles, where the Wolves took game 1, and the Lakers with LeBron and Luka were losers. I can't see a world in which the Lakers don't win this one, because imagine going down 0-2 at home and then having to take the road to swing the series. I don't see it happening. I will be putting together a parlay with Luka, points and assists. Something tells me he'll have more than 1 like he had in game 1. And I will be leveraging the Lakers winning. Does that sound good? Well, you can score an even bigger W because FanDuel's giving you a profit boost for all of tonight's action. Don't just be a spectator this postseason. Head to FanDuel.com/mismatch to download America's #1 sportsbook and make every moment more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Remember, you must be 21 and over and present in select states, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Look, I always tell you that you never know. You might go to an arena and you might just see history. And you, in fact, did. You saw the first Pistons playoff win since 2008. I had to go and look this up because everybody kept saying that. They were like, they hadn't won a playoff. Yeah, 2008. They beat the Celtics in game 4, all right, in May of 2008. This was their starting lineup. This is insane. Chauncey Billups.
Wow.
Current coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. Rasheed Wallace.
Wow.
Rip Hamilton. Tayshaun Prince, who is in the Grizzlies front office. And Antonio McDyess. And Antonio McDyess was the leading scorer and rebounder for the Pistons that night. That is the last time the Detroit Pistons won a playoff game. 2008. 2008. So this was a big one for them tonight. And you saw, I mean, this was Cade Cunningham's, this is a big coming out party to not only have a big game, but have it be in a win. Walk me through what it was like going to Madison Square Garden tonight.
Well, what was so interesting about the experience at the Garden was there was a confidence even after being down at half, being down after the third quarter because of what happened in game one. If game one didn't play out the way it did, I don't think Knicks fans would be as confident as they were in the outcome. And there was a big storming comeback at the end. It just sort of felt like the Garden's rocking and it felt like it was going to happen. And then Dennis Schroeder hits that shot and it just deflated the whole thing. But starting from the top, then
in fairness, then it's all viewed differently. I flipped on one of those live Knicks podcasts that I saw come across the timeline. I clicked on it, and the first thing I heard was, bro, if we didn't go on a miraculous 21-0 run, we're down 0-2.
So that's the same thing. On both series that we saw play out game two tonight, you could feel the same way. Because Denver had Russell Westbrook making these miraculous plays just to get them a win in overtime.
Yep.
And now you're as a Knicks fan, it goes from this is our blueprint. We've dominated this team. We're better than them. They're children. We're the big brother to, listen, if Cam Payne doesn't score 11 points in the fourth quarter, again, I'm going to say it again. If Cam Payne doesn't score 11 points in the fourth quarter, this is now 0-2 going to Detroit. And that's just how flimsy sort of the confidence is in these games one and game two. Like, the margin of victory is so small in these series that are good that as a Knicks fan, you're saying to yourself as you're walking up the stairs to leave the Garden, you're like, man, I don't love this anymore.
Well, and I'll tell you this, and that's the trick of what's going on with Detroit, because you said like the kids thing, right? And they even said, even on the broadcast, they're like, and the young Pistons, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, Cade and Duren are young.
Everybody else on the floor is not.
Dennis Schroeder's been in a ton of playoff games.
He's played for every team in the league.
10 teams. Tobias Harris has been in a bunch of playoff games. Malik Beasley's been in a bunch of playoff games.
Tim Hardaway Jr., who sucked tonight, he's vet.
No,
they're not as young as you would think. Cade is young. I said the same thing to my buddy who I was sitting next to. I was like, this whole narrative of like they have no experience is a bit outdated because I'm looking at the floor and I do see Duren and Cade, but I see a bunch of three vets with them.
Right, and especially after Thompson fouled out of the game, which we will get to. But look, I will tell you what was going on social media as I was watching this game, because I felt the same way, was this was the first time, maybe not the first, but it was certainly the loudest amount of disgusted by Brunson's foul hunting that I have seen in a long time. That has become a thing, much more so this year than in any years past. But this one took it to a whole nother level where it felt like anytime the bonus came, now we're doing the old school James Harden, Trae Young. I'm really not playing to make a shot. I'm playing this possession with the intention of getting fouled, and then obviously got Asar Thompson, fouled out of the game, and there was a lot of flopping going on tonight, Jacoby.
This is not new. Like if you watch Knicks games, this is not new. And I sat there the whole season when SGA is getting all this flack for being a foul merchant. And I'm telling my friends, I'm like, they must not be watching Knicks games because it's not just SGA and James Harden. It is, and Jalen Brunson has been doing this forever. But I would say, as someone who's in the building, this was actually a reaction to a really weird whistle in like the second quarter, because Cade was getting these weird calls where he would drive to his left and he would bump into OG and then rise up to shoot. And it was just such like insignificant NBA contact, but he was getting the whistle on like 2 of 3 possessions, and it pissed off the crowd. And
He was getting
a
great whistle.
A weird whistle. It was just weird. And it was like,
Yeah.
again, like there's also some phantom calls for the Pistons, so I'm not going to sit here and like blame the refs because it was going both ways. But it pissed everybody off, and you could feel Brunson be like, oh, that's what we're doing? Oh, you want to play this game? Guess what? I was born.
So you think it became
I was born in the
heightened?
dark. Yeah, he's like, I was born in the dark. Oh, we're gonna start getting cheap calls, and we're gonna call it tight. Guess what? I can do that. And the way he jerks his head around, and every time you touch him, he rears back like you stabbed him in the neck.
Well, it is worse because you know what? His head is twice as big as everybody else's head.
Not just that. So I swear to God, Verno, he grew braids just so he can do this. I swear to God, he grew braids to make it look more violent when he shakes his big head around. I swear to God.
It's so crazy you say that, because you know who the first time when I saw him in person last year that I said that about was Kobe White. I was like, this guy drives me crazy. Like, he looks like he's got whiplash every time he drives, but it's just the hair. It's the hair. It's just the hair. That's what's going on. And to your point, Tibbs said in his press conference afterward, basically, no, you're dead on about this. Tibbs said, Cade gets that call. Jalen should get that call. Like, basically, don't talk to me about calls. Cade Cunningham got the whistle every time he got bumped.
It was a couple times. I think it was early in the second quarter, because I don't see the replays or hear the broadcast. I'm just watching on the Jumbotron. But it was like the typical drive in, 2 players bump into each other. The offensive player fades away and takes a shot. It happens on every possession. But he got that call a couple times, and I swear to God, Jalen Brunson saw that, and he was pissed. He was talking to the refs the whole time, and he just decided to make a game of it. And it's not pretty, but it worked.
And it becomes so much more heightened because they just go straight heliocentric. Like, there was a moment, like, you guys took a timeout before you got the corner 3 that Brunson hit in the 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the first possession where there was 3 passes on it. Like, they never passed the ball around to get a better shot. And to that point, are we blaming Cat? Or are we blaming them for not getting the ball? Like, he didn't take a shot in the last 18 minutes of the game.
Why do you trade Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo for a guy who's 7 feet tall and is just going to run and stand in the corner? What happened to the Brunson Towns pick and roll? What happened to that? They just went completely away from it. I'm sitting there being like, can Cat touch the ball? I don't even care. I don't even need if he gets a shot. Just touch the ball. Include him in the offense in any way, shape, or form. And he's not being guarded by Evan Mobley. He's being guarded by Tobias Harris. It was shocking. I was like shocked by this, so I looked it up. First quarter, he was 3 for 3. Second quarter, he's 2 for 5. 10 points at the half, right? So that makes him what? 5 for 10 from the field. Right. And then he goes 0 for 3 in the third. Doesn't take a single shot in the fourth quarter.
No. The last shot he took, I marked it. 5:20 left.
I'd like to look it up because we're doing the game. How many touches did he get after that? That weren't rebounds. How many touches?
5:20 left in the third was his last shot. He played all 12 minutes of the fourth, too. So you say he didn't take a shot? He did not. He was on the court the entire time.
I don't think he set a ball screen. I think he set one ball screen on like their second or third to last possession. And I was just like, thank God. But to answer your question, I don't blame Cat. That was the strategy. And it does
the ball.
It feels like, do you know what it feels like? It feels like a youth team when the coach's kid is the best player. Oh, wait, the coach's kid is the best player. That's what it feels like. It's like, he's taken us home to so many wins, but it's very frustrating when it's just Brunson or nothing. It's Brunson or nothing in the last 5 minutes of a close game over and over and over. And he's won those games so many times. But sometimes I wouldn't mind if someone else touched the ball. Get him off the ball and then run some screens for him. Like, it's awkward. And I remember one possession, I'm just keyed in on Towns, and he's got his shoulder slumped. And he doesn't run to the corner and set up and put his hands out, getting ready. He shoulder slump, jogs over to the corner because he knows the play call, and he just kind of stands there straight up and down and watches Brunson do his thing and then jogs back on defense.
And what's so crazy is you juxtapose it with watching the second game, right? You left the Garden, you come back, and you watch the Clippers and the
Nuggets,
the Clippers and the Nuggets, and it's like, right, go watch. Like, dude, there were, and it wasn't just the fourth. The Knicks scored 18 points in 2 different quarters. In the first quarter and the third quarter, they didn't break 20 as a team. Like,
I want to say this.
It's unfathomable. Like, to me, that has got to be a Tibbs thing because that, like, look, I got it. You're trying to highlight a team's weaknesses and whatever else. It can't get bogged down to where it's like Brunson or nothing this much. Yeah, like these guys, you got offensive talent on this team. It isn't just like it's Brunson and 4 bums. Not to mention, you have, say whatever you want about Towns. This guy is a offensive, like, machine.
Oh, yeah.
That is what he can do, right?
Oh.
You want to talk about his defense, if you want to talk about his lack of tenacity at points, but, like, in terms of just being an offensive talent, come on, bro. And it's like, to not even use him at all.
As someone pays close attention to this team, I did try to silver lining the Brunson injury because OG Anunoby was like all NBA. You know what I mean? Like he was scoring 30 points, scoring 27 points, and even Mikal Bridges popped a couple times, but it was really OG was like kind of their guy in that stretch of games when Brunson wasn't playing. And I thought that can carry over. Maybe it won't be so Brunson or nothing because these guys have had this confidence building run with Brunson being out. But tonight, and I'm not going to project the future of the series, but tonight it very much felt like the same old, give it to Brunson and hope for the best.
But it was so much worse tonight because they didn't even have Isaiah Stewart.
I know. But, like, I got to say, B-Ball Paul was pretty good. He was pretty good.
He was, but it was crazy. Carmelo Anthony did like a sideline interview or whatever, and he was even saying, like, man, we got to get Towns down on the block. Like, they don't have Isaiah Stewart tonight. Like, I mean, Towns is the one with the advantage. We've got to use this to our advantage. And I swear to God, you could find it's going around. Like, there's a video of it going around on social media. Cade gets a steal, goes down, gets an outlet, and dunks it, and points to Carmelo Anthony in the middle of this interview, that he's doing. But in the time, he's like analyzing the game, and he's like we got to throw the ball down to Towns. Like, they don't have anybody for Towns.
Well, a couple things I do want to say, because it's New York. Everyone's going to be Knicks focused. The Pistons played great defense. Like, they played great defense. Like, they were ready for Brunson's BS. They were ready for Bridges. They knew what the Knicks were going to do. I thought they were really well coached up, and I thought they played a great defensive game. And we can sit there and say, how does, Mikal Bridges missed all these shots, and OG Anunoby only had 10 points, and they didn't use Cat this way. And you can say all those things, but I think people are always so New York focused. But I was watching that game thinking, these guys are playing D. They're trying harder, and they're more physical, and they just seem more structured on the defensive end than the Knicks did.
They also felt like they had so much confidence. And honestly, to your point, look, you got to win games when you give up 94. Give up 94 points in the game. You got to be able to score 95. They actually scored 100 in this game, and it is hard to overstate how just immense Schroeder was. I mean, the guys hit big shots in the pros. The guys hit big shots in international play. And, like, he's one of those guys you want to, like, you feel like you could bring him to the fight. He showed up when it mattered most. I mean, they had a couple of these, because Beasley had another open one, too, in the corner that he missed. Tobias missed one as well. But, like,
Hardaway missed 8.
Oh, because they started, look, it felt another one of those, like, oh, my God, how many times have we seen this with our beloved Pistons playing with their food, right? They've won the game, the whole damn game. And now, like, at one point, I think they said they were going on 5 straight minutes without a field goal to close that game. I mean, they got bogged down, too. And then it just become nobody could score. Like,
and
the Knicks
I think the
score.
Schroeder, everyone's gonna talk about the Schroeder shot. It was a great shot. You know what I mean? It was not that one. They didn't draw that up for that
No,
shot.
it's wide
you know
open.
What I mean? Yeah, he just hit it. But it was his defense. They basically, the Knicks said, let's get Schroeder on Brunson and let Brunson work. And Schroeder was ready for the challenge. He was ready for the challenge. And he was in every action on defense. He was working so hard, and he was chirping with Brunson. There's some stuff going on, like in timeouts and everything. Like, the two of them clearly don't like each other, and I like that. I like that.
How many shots does Cat get next game? This feels like it's going to be big course correction.
It's going to be the same thing, though, because they set up Cat against Tobias Harris in the post in this one, in the first quarter. They gave it to him 2 straight possessions. One time he tried to back him down, and then he missed. And then the next time he back him down, made it. He had a great shot over Duren, where Duren's he's like a stone wall. Like, Cat was kind of just trying to barrel into him, and Cat ended up bouncing backwards. He hit the shot, but like, I just feel like they went away from it. It's not that they never did it; is they just went away from it, and it didn't really make sense.
And what a tandem they've got with the young guys, with him and Cade and Duren. They said they led the league in alley-oops. Like that
Really?
that connection. Yeah. I thought that was interesting because they ran. Well, no, in crunch time, they got that one pick and roll off, and he dove to the basket, and Cade just lofted it up, and Duren almost ripped the rim off the hinge. It was great.
Cade was fantastic.
Awesome.
Like, this was the regular season Cade. I think, game one might have like been a little skittish and freaked out, and they schemed up against him. But like, Cade was getting to the rack when he wanted to, and he was hitting that mid-range thing. And if he couldn't get past his guy, he would shoot over him. Like, it was a real Cade, classic Cade game.
Hey, this is gonna be super interesting because they're about to walk into a hornet's nest. Can you imagine first playoff game? I mean, I just told you they hadn't gotten a playoff win since 2008. Imagine what that arena is going to be like in Detroit. Oh, my God.
It's going to be great.
I mean, you want to talk about that fan base has been starved for this. Starved. Yeah. And now it's the Knicks coming in?
Off a win like that, too. Like, not just coming in, but, come in 0-2. It's a little different. You're about to feel that. But, like, the new arena being in downtown, I've been there. I've been to a couple games there. It's a great place to see a game. It's a great sports town. I've got Detroit ties, and I'm excited for them. I thought they played really well. The Knicks got beat. They didn't lose. They got beat. Without beef stew. They got beat.
Do you think they can lose the series?
The Knicks? Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised. I think a game 7 in the Garden is going to be a tough one for the Pistons to win. But this is, it is one of those things like the other series we talked about where you kind of start looking, when you lose game 2 like that, you start looking at game 1.
Well,
then be like, was that the fluke? Was game 1 the fluke? It looks like game 1 was the fluke, not game 2. And I feel like that about both series.
And we weren't counting on it being a great series, but that one is going to be great. Because it's going to get more and more heated.
Yeah, it's
going to get more and more heated. Like, the longer this thing goes, the more tension there's going to be, the more foul stuff that people are going to get upset about, and then if you get Stewart back in the mix, he's always, between him and Holland, they're good for a scrap in the series for sure.
And Brunson's playing pissed. He's mad. He's angry.
Yes.
Like, he's not playing with joy. You know what I mean? Like, he's angry at the refs. He's angry at the other team. He's playing with fire. And I think that the Pistons like that. And I think that there will be something.
All right, let's try to run through these other series. So as we record this on Monday night, those are the games that took place tonight. As of Tuesday night, there's going to be 3 more games on series. First is the early game, Grizzlies and the Thunder.
Listen, when you go to the arena, you might see history, like you always say.
You might. I started off my local show today, and I said, well, the good news is we can lose by 50, and it won't be the worst loss. Because we've already gotten 51 out of the way. Look, after the game, Ja Morant said, "We'll never play that bad again." And I sent you the quote. And I said, "I'd hope not."
But it's on the table. It's on the table.
Bro, you could have literally put the Wizards out there. They wouldn't have lost by 51.
Don't talk to me about the schedule, dude. I don't care.
No,
don't talk to me about the schedule.
Dude,
yeah.
Bro, you only lose by 51 when you totally let go of the rope. Yes. That was a disgrace. It was a disgrace. It was an absolute disgrace.
It looked like they wanted to go back to the hotel after the middle of the third quarter.
And you're going to find out everything you need to know about their medal. They're not good enough to beat that team. They're going to have to play perfect. Honestly, I'm not kidding. You watch that game, there's 10 guys that would start for the Grizzlies that play for the Thunder. Like, the Grizzlies have 3 high-level starters that you can just game plan against.
You mean the big 3?
That's it.
The big 3?
And Bane and Jackson were both terrible. They were 5 of 25 combined.
Terrible is not the word.
Again, look, but no, like the other two, you started Scottie Pippen and Zach Edey. Those players are not starting for any other playoff team. That's not happening.
No.
And then the guys that come off the bench, they're not they're way overmatched. So they have to play absolutely perfect basketball. And then when they played the way they played, which is not making any shots, and then after you start getting your ass beat, just let go of the rope like they did, that's what you get. You ended up losing in this incredibly horrific fashion. And we will see. I have no idea what to expect. Certainly, I would suspect you would be able to be more competitive than that. But, I mean, they are way over. Man, that Oklahoma City team, they bring guys off the bench that would, a lot of them, that would absolutely start for Memphis right now.
I really felt like, and I understand you're going to view it through the Memphis prism because you live there and you cover the Grizzlies and you work with the Grizzlies and you watch every game. That to me was more about the Thunder than the Grizzlies. It was just an onslaught. And it was just one of those things where it was just like they kept bringing guys off the bench. Like, oh, yeah, here he is. And they're going so fast. And the defense was insane. I remember one play. I'm sure you remember it too. Zach Edey gets the ball passed to him. And he's under the basket. And he's 8'7" tall. And he cocks it back to dunk it. And Chet Holmgren, I've seen so much basketball. Yep. It did not feel like a contestable dunk. I mean, the guy's, he's standing at the rim. Right. He cocks it back, 2 hands, mind you, behind his head. And Chet Holmgren comes over from like the other side of the lane, flies over, jumps up and blocks the dunk. I was shocked. I was floored by that play. Well, and it just felt like they were trying harder and they were faster and they were younger and they were better.
It was an absolute onslaught. And I will give credit where credit's due. That Oklahoma City crowd, for that to be a noon Easter Sunday game, that was unbelievable. That, I mean, you want to talk about walking into a hornet's nest. Memphis, everybody in that crowd's wearing the same damn T-shirt.
They all do.
They're all going. I mean, they were lit too. You heard the roars. Yeah, I've been. I went.
It's like that.
I went during the Durant Westbrook years, like those back when Memphis had Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. Like there were several different playoff series that were there, but I went to one of them that was there. And the thing I'll always remember about going to Oklahoma City is I walked in and I've got on like the Memphis stuff. And like everybody was like, "Hey, welcome to town!" Like the nicest people on earth.
That was not the Garden tonight. That was not the Garden tonight.
No, everybody was so nice. There's like family of 4, and the one kid's got Durant on, the other kid's got Westbrook on. Then the dad's got like a tabocephalosia, and I'm like, "This is the most wholesome. This is literally the most wholesome place on earth."
I wish we both could win.
Everybody is Everybody's so nice. Like,
you want to ride home? What hotel are you staying at?
Welcome to town. And I was like, wow, this does not feel hostile towards me.
Before we move on, and we should, because this series is trash. Like, what are your goals here? Like, what are you feeling? And how impactful can this sort of an ass whooping be to the franchise?
Oh, well, look, my goal is for this to end. I mean, I don't know how long I need this thing to go.
Get a win, get a game 3 win.
Absolutely. Getting a win would be like basically heroic at this point. But the other thing is, I need Oklahoma City to move on and have to play against a real team that can compete with them so that I can stop seeing my old tweet from the in-season tournament coming
they sent
up.
it to me too.
They just hammer me with it. And I can't take the time to respond to these nincompoops and tell them, like, this isn't what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about them being able to beat a team like Memphis.
Pippen Jr.
I never said my team was the one that could put the scars on you. I know
you're never going to really answer the question, but are Jaren Jackson Jr., Bane, and Ja coming back next year?
Well, I mean, what are the options? Look,
trade.
I'll tell you this. If you get absolutely crushed and swept, they've already done it with the coach. Like,
they fired the 2 coaches.
Bro, you're to everything is evaluated point. Like, I mean, that's the way this goes. You know the way this goes. We're watching these teams. Atlanta, we just got the notification today. Atlanta's done with their GM. And so it's like then it becomes right. Like, so that's the dicey thing here is because you blame the coach, right? You fire your coach because you need things to, be like you're hoping it changes things dramatically. And things haven't changed dramatically. So you use that bullet. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I feel like maybe in retrospect, if you're running the team, you'd say, well, I should have just let this thing play out, and then I could blame the coach in the offseason, right?
But at that moment, you don't know you're going up against the Thunder in the first round, to be fair. You could end up with the Rockets or whatever. It's a different game. You know what I mean?
I got you. But you did use the bullet of saying, hey, it's the coach, not the players.
Mm-hmm.
But bro, you can't – when you watch them play against the Thunder, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's a totally different outcome if they're able to beat the Warriors and they play the Rockets, who can't score at a high level. And so maybe it would have played out differently. They certainly would have been able to compete with the Rockets in a way that they cannot compete with the Thunder. But we'll see. I mean, maybe, hey, you know what? Maybe they could shock the world and bounce back and be competitive. But they gave you no reason to believe that they could from watching that first game. That looked like, I mean, that looked like one of the greatest NBA teams ever statistically as they were, and a team that had absolutely no business playing playoff basketball. I mean, they let go of the rope completely.
But we've been around a long time, both of us. Like, just because you get blown out in game 1 doesn't mean you're going to get swept. You know what I mean?
No,
and there's also, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. If you get swept and go to overtime a couple times, or Shea hits a couple game winners or whatever it is, like that, not all sweeps are created equal.
And look, those 3 guys. Look, if Bane and Morant and Jackson can all be great, then you have a chance.
Yeah, great chance.
You have a chance of winning games if they can be great.
But I did walk away from that game, and we will move on, thinking that it's more about the Thunder than the Grizzlies. Think that the Thunder, they looked like they looked like that they are who we thought they were. That's what it looked like.
They're great.
Like the old Dennis Green quote. It was like, oh, best team in the league. Looks like the best team in the league.
The other 2 that we have on tap tomorrow night are Bucks and the Pacers. Lillard has been upgraded to questionable.
Okay.
You figured that could be the case after he was talking real reckless to Tyrese Halliburton. Sounds like he wants down. It feels like he wants to beat his ass. Like he doesn't. I don't know. I don't think he necessarily wants to even play him in basketball. I think he wants to fight him.
Halliburton's got that Rudy Gobert thing where it just seems like people don't like him.
Yeah,
and me included, by the way.
Punchable.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bucks were 9 of 37 from 3 in game 1.
And don't get the best 3-point shooting team in the league.
Yeah. So that's not only is that probably not going to be sustained, that ridiculous shooting, but look, they got to have Lillard back to make it a series. That Pacers team is still humming. Mm-hmm. Assist number was huge in that game too. Big numbers all across the board, and they just ran them out. So let's just hope. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can get Lillard back in the fold. Obviously, he hasn't played in a while, but if they could get him back in the fold, maybe that one could turn into a really good series. But as currently constructed, it was hard to see that being a really good series from what we just watched from game one. Game one, that was a run out.
But if you're the Bucks, you're saying like we're not doing that again. You know what I mean? Like if I'm a Bucks fan, I'm like we're not like that's as bad as we can play.
But it looked like they had one awesome player, and that's what they have.
Yeah.
And Kyle Kuzma literally might as well have had his AirPods in. Straight cardio. 21 minutes of nothing? That's impossible. It's truly impossible to not do anything.
That's hard.
You can just be jogging. I'm just jogging up and down the court. Put the AirPods in, Kyle. And just jog.
Like they traded for him.
Bro, no,
they traded for him.
You would think even if you do nothing offensively that you might like get a hand on a ball, get a steal, or get a block, or some random thing happens. Or
rebound just bounces to you.
No,
you're not even trying for it. No. 21 minutes, some rebounds just bounce to you. You can't help but get them.
There was a basketball coach I used to cover years ago, and he was talking about his 7-foot center. And he said, 20 minutes, no rebounds. He said, now I suppose you could lay a dead man at the free throw line and the ball's going to hit him once.
Yeah.
That's the Kyle Kuzma. I could lay a dead guy at the free throw line and the ball's going to hit you once at some point. How can you have no stats? That's abominable. And then we get to the goodness. So after we get through those two early ones, which maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe Pacers-Bucks ends up being good. Maybe Grizzlies-Thunder ends up being good.
I think Bucks-Pacers will be a competitive series.
But what we're counting on is Lakers-Wolves. Because that one, with what happened with that run out of the Lakers in game one by the Wolves, beating them 117-95, you are expecting the response from the Lakers. That is the way these go. The way these series go, it's like, okay, they just punked you out on your home floor. You had all kinds of stuff go wrong for you. They're shooting the cover off the ball. But I will say, and I think you felt the same way watching that, one of the things we talked about going in is like, Austin Reeves is getting to live in this world where most teams don't have a third defender that can hold up. And
they got a couple.
That is not the Wolves. And the other thing is the Wolves brought off that bench, and it was like, oh, buddy, this is a big problem for you because we get to those minutes, and to wit, the Lakers bench was outscored 43-13.
I don't remember the 13.
43 to 13th. The other thing is, like, you look at the stars and you can say, hey, well, at least it took 22 shots for Ant to get his numbers, whatever. But Anthony Edwards had 9 assists in the game.
Loved it.
Like, he's playing, making quick decisions, setting up teammates, and then you have, and he almost had a triple-double because he had 8 rebounds to go with it. On the other end, Luka Doncic had 1 assist. 1 in the whole game. He had 1 assist. And so there's some big adjustments that are going to have to be made by J.J. Redick and his staff. Obviously, when you've got LeBron James and Luka Doncic, you can then make said adjustments, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And you're also probably sitting there going, bro, they just shot the absolute cover off the ball, number one. And number two, like, look, guys, if Jaden McDaniels, who averages 12 points and shoots 33% from 3, is going to shoot 100% from 3 and score 25 points, then
he's also one of your best defenders. Yeah,
but this is, but we talk about this every year. It's like there's something when you get good teams playing each other, there's something you've got to be willing to live with, and they were obviously going to be willing to live with McDaniels getting less attention than many of his peers on that team, but he made them pay badly for that. Well, he also had 9 rebounds. I mean, McDaniels was amazing in this game. Amazing.
And Naz Reid,
Yes,
if I
amazing.
watched that game, I'd be like, he's an all-star, right? This guy's all NBA, like a future face of the league. Like he looked so good, and I think that so many of these games in the playoffs, and it's kind of like annoying, come down to who are you going to leave open for three?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like it kind of bothers me because it's like very reductive sometimes. Like it was like Westbrook in the Denver series.
That's right.
Even tonight, Westbrook knocked down some big threes, and it's just kind of like it does kind of come down to that because it's such a high level of basketball. And JJ Redick picked the wrong guys to leave open for three during game one.
I mean,
because those are some adjustments that need to be made. But my biggest takeaway from that game was like LeBron. Handing the keys over worked out in the first quarter, but it might be time to take the keys back. You know what I mean? Like it used to be like my turn, your turn. Well, it's your turn, LeBron. Like I didn't get enough LeBron impact on that game at all.
It way too often. It felt like the Luka and four guys standing around.
Yes, but I want to see LeBron. And one of the things I love about LeBron as a basketball player is his IQ and his feel for the game and the ebbs and flows of individual games and what his team needs. And I didn't feel that in that game because he clearly needed to say, "Hey, Luka, just let me do this for a little bit here, please."
Well, and they have a big problem on the whole big guy front, right? Like they're not having like the fact that Jackson Hayes can't even like that they don't want to. How bad are you, bro? All you have to do is dunk it. Like that's it.
He missed a lob.
Dude, I watched Derek Lively in the play-in game last Friday. The game to get into the one that was in Memphis
game, yeah.
Yeah. He had 0, bro. 0. And PJ Washington had 0. And I turned to Roser as we're watching the game, and I'm like, did Luka just like totally trick us into thinking these guys are like what? He's got 0. Like I got it. Like you are guys that aren't just going to go get your own shot, but if you can finish, you're in hog heaven. And it's like, bro, if you're Jackson Hayes, all you have to do is friggin', touch on the screen and then go finish the dunk. The lob's going to be there. It's
going to be there.
It's the best gig in the world if you can do it. If you can't do that, then just get out of the league. Seriously, what's a point? You're tall for nothing.
Well, that Mark Williams veto trade is looming large. It's looming large. I expect a big Lakers response. I don't think the Luka LeBron Lakers are going to go down like that twice.
And you also know, especially when this is the home team that loses game one, psychologically, it is just very difficult to have that level of desperation as the road team. We've seen this happen over and over again because I've covered the press conference 20 times, Jacoby, where the guy gets to come in and say, we accomplished
on the road. Yeah.
We accomplished what we came here to accomplish. And that's after they lose game 2. They say we accomplished because that is the feeling. Like, hey, we came here. We needed to get a split here. Like we knew, in order to put the ball in our court, we were going to need to get a split here. And so you'd imagine you're going to get mega desperate Laker team. And also, like, good luck getting a call tomorrow night. No chance.
One thing I found significant was it was kind of weird and corny, but like the Anthony Edwards, like Spider-Man celebration in Luka's face.
That was a little odd.
It was just kind of like, I don't understand the significance of it, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like a bear I want to poke, to use some Dylan Brooks expressions. It's just kind of like right in you're up by a bunch. Luka had a hot first quarter. You can see what he can do. Yeah.
Wanted the switch on him.
Oh, over and over and over.
Yeah,
again.
So you can do. You think you might get a little Luka? This is what you asked for.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I can see it.
Yeah. No, certainly. Look, those guys that we've seen Luka Doncic do it to teams over the years. The other 3 series, we'll just touch on these real quickly because we're not going to get to see these for another 2 nights. And we'll obviously talk about them a lot on Thursday. We've got Magic Celtics. I mean, Magic are just so offensively deficient.
I've got the Magic winning a game in this series.
Okay.
I do.
Think they can.
I do.
They get the obligatory game 3.
It was a great Paolo game, and they hung with him in the first half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was something. I saw something there where I was like, I could see a game 3 win. I think they get one.
And maybe you could catch the night where the Celtics don't make a bunch of shots, and it's like, all right, you've won the game 98-92 or something, right?
I mean, the Celtics are terrifying. Derek White scoring 30 points. It's like, what? We have to worry about him now.
It's just, but it's just
Peyton Pritchard's like, I have to worry about him now.
But it's just hard to know what is the maximum amount of points we think the Magic can score. It's just a matter of like
100.
Well, they scored 86. Like, you can't. Giving up 85 is a big ask. You know what I mean? If you're gonna hold if you gotta hold the team to 85 to get a win, that's a big ask.
It feels more likely the Celtics will have 85.5 than a game.
That being said, one of our other series, the Warriors did hold the Rockets to 80. I mean, they could get a win doing that. So that one did happen. I felt like that one, I cannot wait for game 2 because if I'm Udoka, bro, I've got to lean into this big thing more than ever. Like, these guys are fine playing half-court basketball, right? So, all right, we're going to play half-court basketball. I'm saying the Warriors are fine with it.
Oh, the Warriors are fine. I think you're talking about the Rockets. I was like,
that's what I'm saying. No, you've just got to do we get every friggin' rebound. And you saw that segment when they were able to come back, and it was like, all right, we're going to do the Adams thing, and we're going to get Sengun. And they had 22 offensive rebounds in the game. I mean, honestly, I just lean into the size thing even more. I try to grab defensive rebounds, and then I'm running as soon as I can because I just don't want to play against their set defense. That Rockets team against their set defense has no chance. None.
No chance.
I mean, dude, the starting backcourt was 7 for 34 and 1 or 2 for 17 from 3.
I can't believe it's the year 2025 and it feels like Steven Adams is the key to the Rockets Warriors series. It feels like he's the key.
You are either going to grab every rebound and then have your share of runouts so you could score in transition, or you're going to be able to get putbacks. But, like, what you're not going to survive doing is the we run a play, you run a play thing. You can't win that.
But the Rockets defense is good enough to force turnovers, steals, miss shots that lead to transition. And I think that I believe that this game, I wish it was a little more competitive, especially down the stretch. I just can't imagine that Moody and Pods, especially Pods, will play that well, and Green and Van Vliet will play that poorly. Like, I just can't believe that's going to happen again.
I also think if they lean more into the size, like, the Warriors are just they're fine doing the half court thing, like, especially since they've attained Butler, and because they're going to they'll execute you to death. Like, I mean, that's what they do. But, like, if you can grab every rebound and then just, like, throw it out to those athletes and just let them run and take the first friggin' open shot they can get.
But the problem was they would have to grab the rebound again, and then you'd have to grab the rebound again.
I know.
There's one possession where Steven Adams was like, what do you want me to do, guys?
I know.
I did this 3 times in a row. Like, make a shot. You're
because they're not going to grow somebody big on that team. That they play how they play.
And Quinn Post is not that guy. Quinn Post might be 7 feet, but he's not that guy.
No, they are at their best. So if you're Udoka, I think you just got to lean into the supersize thing as much as you can and just punish them for being small.
I did my family finances recently, so I deleted my I'm not gambling as much on my favorite app, FanDuel. But if I did, I would put money on the Rockets to win the series now. I thought that was more of a fluky result than anything else.
Oh, wow. I would not. I would not imagine. And that's because I watched Steph Curry. Steph Curry obviously had heard enough about Amen Thompson shutting him down.
Yeah. Just like Van Vliet can't miss 10 open threes again.
Bro, like, he shoots
10 open threes.
Everyone is always shocked when I tell him this. He shoots less than 40% from the field, Jacoby.
I mean, how many twos does he shoot?
He shoots less than 40% from the field.
Well, then who was my co-host in the middle of the year? That was like, the problem with the Rockets is Van Vliet's out. That's why they're slumping right now.
Because he's the only organizer. And when he's not out there, they play like a friggin' AAU team.
They need an organizer.
Whoever gets the ball gets to shoot it.
And Jalen Green can't be that bad again. I just can't imagine this continues.
He was atrocious. Atrocious. And then we got Heat Cavs. Ty Jerome show in game 1.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that was like the big headline takeaway, but really, I had been on this high of watching Tyler Hero in those playing games and just like his sort of like year. And I was like, this is, he's playmaking for teammates and he can get to the rim and finish and he hits his threes. And I was like so high on Hero, and they just turned off the faucet. Like they just wouldn't let him do anything.
Not only that, one of these Heat fans did like a breakdown of Tyler Hero as like the individual defender, and like they shot like 85% against him. Like if he was like, and when you play against those teams, if you play like against one of these coaches that's been around, they really like, you watch this during the playoffs, especially it happens with the big guys a lot. They're just going to spam it and that's why the Naz Reid thing was so fantastic for Minnesota, because they were going to try to do this in that Laker game. They're like Luka. It was like every time, come on, Gobert, come on out here.
Well, they're doing it to Luka too.
Get you, yeah, oh yeah. We're finding you. Where are you, you son of a bitch? You out in the corner? We're finding you. Like if you have a weak spot, they just spam it to death. That's what they were doing, obviously, in that last game. But anyway, yeah, we got Heat and Cavs.
So Thursday night, you're gonna be at the Memphis game.
Game 3. Yes.
So it'll be like tonight's. I was at the game.
Yeah.
Thursday night, you're gonna be at the game, coming fresh off it.
I'm gonna guess that I can recount game 3 of Grizzlies Thunder for you, and you're gonna be locked in on Clippers Nuggets. They're going on at the same time.
Oh, I won't. Yeah.
So
there are commercial breaks. There are commercial breaks.
No, but we can look. Trust me, I'll handle the Grizzlies Thunder one. Let's just split this up, and you focus on the other one, so we can rightfully update the fans on our opinions. If you're a Thunder fan,
it's at the Chris Vernon Show.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I've deleted all of my accounts. All right, it's going to do it for our Monday night show. NBA playoffs have delivered so far, that's for sure. It delivered in a big way tonight. Thank you to our executive producer, Jesse Lopez, as always. And Jacoby, I'll talk to you later this week.
Must be 21 and over and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.